A decision by the U.S. Supreme Court about abortion looming tonight.
They don't want Roe overturned.
Now at 9, why this case in another state could impact Utah in a big way.
It's really important to him. It's like part of his identity.
2 boys forced out of a local private school after refusing to cut their hair. We'll share the school's policy as well as their parents' concerns coming up.
Tracking haze along the Wasatch Front, but guess what? Big changes are coming when we'll see our next storm that'll bring chances for precipitation and improve our air.
A group of Utah parents is suing the state of Utah for restricting mask mandates in school, claiming it puts students' health at risk. After a day in court, why the state says this case should be thrown out.
It's going to make me feel sad.
A Salt Lake County family working for positive change in their community. Why they've started an effort to replace this playground.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Tonight, the U.S. Supreme Court is considering arguments in an abortion case that could result in the court overturning Roe versus Wade.
Fox 13's Emily Tenser is live with how a case involving Mississippi could affect the entire state of Utah. Emily.
Kelly, Bob, those who are anti-abortion are excited and hopeful that a conservative majority court is making this decision. But for those who are pro-choice, they're concerned about the consequences women in Utah might face if they can't get an elective abortion. A landmark Mississippi abortion case goes before the Supreme Court, and the verdict of that could totally uproot access to abortion here in Utah.
In Utah, we've already passed a bill that will trigger an abortion ban as soon as Roe versus Wade is overturned. So we are terribly excited about what's going on in Washington today.
Mary Ann Christensen is the executive director of the conservative organization Utah Eagle Forum. She's in Washington, D.C. right now, where she rallied with other anti-abortion activists.
This new generation understands that a baby's a baby from the moment of conception. And they're just not a generation that's willing to let it happen anymore.
For Planned Parenthood of Utah, President Carrie Galloway says if Utahns lose the option to legally get an abortion, contraception is not affordable enough to rely on.
We really haven't discussed the implications of what that would mean to the women and families of Utah to lose the opportunity to get health care.
She says this case has a lot on the line.
The last polling that was done, over 50% of Utahns said they don't want Roe overturned.
It'll take months of waiting for the Supreme Court to come to a decision. Christensen says she's excited. Galloway says she's concerned.
It's one of those egregious things that the Supreme Court did nearly 50 years ago. We've allowed it to go on for 50 years, and it's time for the egregiousness to end.
I just can't imagine to be told that I no longer have that right to make self-determination about my own body.
Back in July, Utah and 23 other states filed a friend of the court brief asking the Supreme Court to overturn Roe versus Wade. Senator Mike Lee also filed his own brief this summer asking justices to leave it up to the states to make their own abortion laws. Reporting live, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Emily, thank you. We have an update to yesterday's shooting on I-15 in Juab County. The Utah Highway Patrol has learned there were 5 vehicles shot. Previously, investigators were only aware of 4, with 2 people being hurt. They say the 5th vehicle struck was a box truck. The driver was unharmed. The shooter is still at large.
New at 9, some of Utah's major healthcare providers are temporarily pausing enforcement of the federal COVID-19 vaccine mandate for caregivers until there's clearer direction from the courts. Yesterday, a federal court issued a nationwide stay on the mandate, meaning it is not enforceable and no one can be fired because of it. Intermountain Healthcare and Mountain Star HCA are both taking part in this. Intermountain says 95% of caregivers in their system have been vaccinated. However, University of Utah Health says they are not planning on pausing their vaccine requirement. A spokesperson says their policy remains the same for now, as they await additional direction from state leaders.
New tonight, authorities in Davis County have arrested a suspected bank robber. Ogden police accused 29-year-old Fabian Martinez Ramirez of robbing the Zions National Bank on Washington Boulevard this morning after handing a note to the teller demanding cash. Officers learned the suspect left town on a front-runner train headed south. Farmington police, with Davis County Sheriff's deputies, ended up taking him into custody and booking him into the Weber County Jail. Salt Lake Police announced a big step today in the fight against the mental health challenges that police officers and emergency responders face.
Bob, the department has now hired a full-time mental health clinician for police officers as a way to commit to the mental well-being of its employees. Jamie Welch joins the force with 25 years of counseling experience. She specializes in the treatment of trauma and other disorders in first responders.
I'm available 24/7 for critical calls. So say a watch commander feels like, hey, we just had a critical incident and I have an officer that's just not doing too well. So they're able to contact me and I'm able to go out on scene and work with the officer.
The Salt Lake City Council recently approved funding for this position within the police department.
Deciding to change schools partway through the year is not easy. But their local private school demanded 2 boys cut their long hair.
It was either do that or find another school. But their father says the school isn't enforcing the policy fairly. Fox 13's Brian Schnee shows us.
It's something likely a parent would never want to do, and that would be remove their child from a school. But that is the case for a local family. They were told to either have their boys cut their long hair to meet a certain criteria or leave the school entirely. Aaron Wagner and his wife have enrolled multiple children at the Challenger School in Lehigh.
If it was up to us, our kids would be at school exactly where they're supposed to be. He's got, fairly long hair. We've never cut his hair, ever, in his life.
The Wagners have been in conversation with the school since August regarding the hair length of their 8-year-old son, Tucker.
And it's really important to him. It's like part of his identity and his core belief systems.
Aaron says Tucker had been in the school for 5 years, and no one ever said a thing to him about his hair until recently. As the conversations continued between Aaron, his wife, and the school, their 6-year-old son, Jagger, who also has long hair, was lumped in.
It's super disruptive to our kids, and our sons are having to pay for it now.
The boys were either to cut their hair to a certain length, file a religious exemption, or leave the school.
At this point, we don't even know what is compliant. There's going to be many that watch this and be like, well, you knew the rules, you signed up for it, you called for it, but that's just not the case.
According to the Challenger School's handbook, when it comes to hair, it must be combed, trimmed, and attractive. Extreme styles and lengths covering the eyes aren't allowed, and boys' hair must be trimmed above the collar and ears.
Only boys versus only girls. We're in a time right now where essentially children and adults get to identify with whatever sex they want to be, yet my kid can't wear hair that's long. I mean, this is just asinine to me.
Aaron says that he feels targeted and says the policy isn't being enforced across the board, with other students at the school right now not meeting the same criteria. He told us that he asked about styling his son's hair differently to pull it back away from his face, but the school said no. He also applied for a religious exemption with the endorsement from a local ecclesiastical leader.
We were denied. We were denied the religious exemption. We were given no reason as to why.
In the middle of the school year, the 2 boys will not be returning.
Nothing else had changed. Nothing had changed with my son's hair. Nothing had changed with the dress code. Everything was the exact same, other than now all of a sudden it was a major issue, but only a major issue for my children.
We reached out to Challenger School for additional comment on this, but didn't hear back. We do have a link to their handbook and policy on our website, fox13now.com. In Lehigh, Brian Schnee, Fox 13 News, Utah.
As you can tell from Brian's shot there, it's calm out there and not even all that cold, Allison.
No, a whole lot of nothing going on right now, but we do have some very big changes in the forecast. Right now, our temperatures here in Salt Lake City, 38 degrees, 42 for Farmington, 38 currently for Ogden, down into Provo, 34 degrees right now, 36 for Lehigh, 31 for Vernal, St. George in the 50s. What you need to know for tomorrow, more of the same. High pressure is still in charge, and that will begin waning this upcoming weekend, and we're going to see some pretty big changes by next week. But first thing tomorrow morning when you wake up here along the Wasatch Front, 5 a.m. 36 degrees, 7 o'clock in the morning also 36. By 9 a.m. tomorrow, close to 40 degrees. Coming up, the timing of our next storm, when it will improve our air quality, and if we'll see rain or snow here in Salt Lake City.
Coming up on Fox 13 News at 9.
It isn't the death sentence.
Today is World AIDS Day. Hear from Utahns living with HIV or AIDS and what health officials say needs to happen to end the epidemic.
A community rallying for children with special needs. Why thousands of dollars are being raised for this playground. It's a story you'll only see right here.
I want them to help me out so we can clean the world together and help the environment.
An 8-year-old boy is giving back to his community in a big way. And wait till you see what inspires him. It's a positively Utah story you don't want to miss.
Real Salt Lake's on a great playoff run. Coming up, we'll hear from the team as they get ready for their Western Conference final against the Portland Timbers.
About 3,000 Utahns carry HIV. If HIV goes untreated, it can lead to AIDS, which has no cure.
And on this World AIDS Day, advocates tell Fox 13's Haley Higgins every adult should be tested at least once in their lifetime.
I got my latest numbers today, and I've got 714 T cells. Yay!
Since the mid-1980s, Rusty Davis Clem has lived with AIDS.
The doctor said, hey, look, kid, don't make any plans because you have 5 years left to live. I was 24.
With the help of clinical trials and therapy, Rusty is lucky. The Cottonwood Heights father lost nearly everyone he knew back then to the virus, including his brother and best friend.
And it was a really hard time because, here I was taking this medication that was making me better, but I was losing friends like no tomorrow.
It isn't the death sentence. It's so important to know, get on medications, be able to talk to your partners, those types of things, and it really makes a huge difference.
A lot has changed in 40 years. Therapies can now make the virus non-detectable and nearly non-transmissible. Utah Department of Health's Heather Bush says testing is easy, but not happening enough.
One of the things about HIV is that people often don't have symptoms for many years. So if they don't recognize a risk, aren't tested, then they don't know they have it. They could be passing it to other people. It's damaging their immune system, etc.
About 130 Utahns are diagnosed every year, but that number is not believed to be a true indicator of spread in the state. Advocates urge regular testing for anyone with a new sexual partner.
We can get everybody tested, and we can get everybody on medication, and we can end this epidemic, this pandemic, in a decade.
Remembering those lost to the virus on World AIDS Day. In Salt Lake City, Haley Higgins, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, testing can be done at your primary care doctor's office or at a medical clinic. You can find resources at fox13now.com.
New at 9, a Salt Lake County mother is trying to make a big change at her son's school. Her 4th grader is in a wheelchair and can't join his friends on the playground.
Oh, and he is the sweetest little guy. The boy's mother is now doing something that will make the playground more inclusive for years to come.
Fox 13's John Franke has a story from Holiday that you'll only see here.
This is the playground at Crestview Elementary School. The Granite School District will allow the renovations to take place here on one condition. The community must raise all the funds to pay for the project.
He just wants to be involved. He just wants to play with his friends.
Playgrounds are the home of priceless childhood memories.
For him to even play on the playground, it was just impossible.
But this playground...
I had to come to the school for a meeting, and he didn't know I was here. I unfortunately had to see him watch from the sidelines with his aide. It was heartbreaking.
Prevents 9-year-old Mike Suarez from experiencing those childhood moments.
It's going to make me feel sad.
The gravel and play structure aren't accessible for kids in wheelchairs. So Mike's mom, Amber, and the Crestview school community want to turn this play area into this, one where all kids can have fun.
It's more than just a playground, and I've said this a lot. It's more than just a playground, even just for other kids. It's inclusion. It's involvement, it's engagement.
The price tag for the wheelchair-friendly surface and play structure is a whopping $300,000, a price tag the Granite School District says it can't afford.
A lot of questions have come up. Why doesn't the district just pay for a new playground? And we're kind of in a tough situation. We have some of the oldest school buildings on average in the state of Utah. Our voters passed a bond in 2017 to help support that, but costs have skyrocketed.
The district has given its blessing to the community to raise the money. Amber is now part of the Crestview Playground Project, a group of parents dedicated to replacing the playground for Mike and all kids in wheelchairs.
My son here has touched a lot of lives, more than I even would have imagined.
I asked Mike just how bad he wants this.
Like, really bad.
Words that give his mom the inspiration to work for the goal.
We're going to make it happen.
If you'd like to help bring that more inclusive playground here, there are several ways you can donate. We have all those links for you on our website. In Holiday, John Franke, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Help is on the way, Mike. Hang in there. The Americans with Disabilities Act says there is no requirement for the district to make the existing playground wheelchair accessible. However, in 2010, the law was revised, so any playground constructed or altered after March 2012 must comply with the ADA standards of accessible design.
We'll definitely have some nice playground weather the next few afternoons, as long as you're okay with some of the haze out there. I know that's tough for many of you, especially those of you with heart and lung conditions, asthma, things like that. 38 here in Salt Lake, 38 for Ogden, and 34 degrees currently for Provo. Our air quality right now for our particulate matter, our PM 2.5 for Salt Lake County, currently moderate. That's also the forecast for tomorrow and Friday with voluntary action. High pressure is still in charge. That's why we do have the clear sky here across the region, a bit of a blocking pattern. There are storms staying off to our north, but changes are on the way. I think you're going to be really excited about this 7-day forecast in just a second. 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, close to 30 to 35 for Ogden, Salt Lake, Provo, Logan, upper 20s tomorrow morning, and for St. George, 37 degrees at that time. And then by tomorrow at 3 o'clock, we are close to 50 to 55 degrees for Salt Lake, Provo, and Ogden. St. George, 67 degrees Thursday and Friday, mid-60s for Saturday and Sunday. We'll keep you in the 60s through next Tuesday. That's when we start to cool down just a little bit by Wednesday, back into the 50s. Now time for your Wasatch Front Super 7-day forecast. If you've never seen our Super 7-day forecast, we can go a little more in depth on each day. I can just go ahead and click on each day, like tomorrow, bring you that hourly forecast. If you work outdoors, here's what you can expect tomorrow for Salt Lake City. Temperatures into the 40s by 11 a.m. into the 50s after lunchtime tomorrow, peaking close to 55 degrees Thursday and Friday. Friday here in Salt Lake City, mostly sunny sky. Top headlines as we wrap up the week. We'll keep the haze through the weekend. We do have increasing confidence in next week's storm, and we're going to see chances for rain and snow along with some cooler temperatures. Saturday, if you're planning on doing any skiing up at the Cottonwood Canyons, temperatures will be chilly first thing in the morning. Temps around 29 degrees at 8 a.m. This is up in the mountains, not here in the valley. It'll still be cold here in the valley, though, around 30 degrees on Saturday morning. And then those temperatures up in the mountains still in the mid-30s for that ski forecast, even during the afternoon hours. Park City will be a little bit warmer than up in the Cottonwood Canyons. By Sunday, 48 degrees for a high. If you're going to do brunch or head for a walk on Sunday morning, a chilly start, mid-30s, 8 a.m., 9 a.m. into the 40s after that. Then early next week, this is when our changes arrive. Monday, highs close to 50 degrees, but take a look at your chance for precipitation. That really starts to skyrocket. We are seeing increasing confidence in this storm, especially Monday night into Tuesday. And then by Tuesday and Wednesday next week, we're going to see those temperatures quite a bit cooler. Highs around 40 here in Salt Lake on Tuesday. Could even see some snow down to the valley floor. We'll get more in depth on that, plus what you can expect in your 10-day forecast coming up later in the hour.
See you then, Allison. Thanks so much. Still ahead, the countdown now on to find that perfect gift for your loved ones this holiday season. Why shoppers can breathe a sigh of relief amid the ongoing supply chain issues.
In national news, the 15-year-old suspect in the mass shooting or the mass school shooting in Michigan yesterday has been charged with murder and terrorism.
And for the first time, we're finally hearing the suspect's name. It is Ethan Crumbley. He is being charged as an adult. He's accused of bringing a gun to Oxford High School and opening fire, killing 4 fellow students and wounding several others.
The only thing that I can do as the prosecutor is ensure that I will do everything I can to prosecute this case and pursue justice for these victims, but also to speak out and say that we need better gun laws.
Since the shooting, investigators have learned about online threats made by the suspect prior to the shooting. The county prosecutor says they are also considering charges for the suspect's parents. The suspect's father bought the gun used in the shooting 5 days ago.
Holiday shoppers can breathe a sigh of relief. There will be plenty of things to buy over the next couple of weeks. Some analysts and some consumers were concerned global supply chain issues would result in bare shelves.
We're heading into a holiday season on very strong shape. It's not because of luck. We averted potential crisis by figuring out what needed to get fixed, and then we brought people together to do the hard work of fixing it.
This announcement comes on the same day the first Omicron case was confirmed in the United States. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo says she is worried the variant could bring more pressure to the supply chain.
A federal government shutdown now looming tonight. Lawmakers have until midnight Friday to finalize a stopgap measure or the money will run out. So far, congressional leaders have not been able to secure a deal, although they are hopeful one will be reached before the deadline. Democrats and Republicans disagree over how long a funding extension should last. Senate conservatives are also holding up a deal by demanding a vote to defund President Biden's vaccine mandate.
Coming up after the break.
Parents claim the state made a decision that put Utah students' lives at risk, so they sued. Today, the case went to court. What happened to lead the state to demand the whole case be thrown out?
Lots of thefts, lots of drugs, prostitution.
Plus, a Salt Lake City park is shutting down, all because of too much crime. Why the mayor felt it was the only way to help.
Coming up, the Cougars take on the Wolverines on the basketball court, and RSL ready for their Western Conference final.
In a case as important as this, to get things right.
A lawsuit against Utah over mask mandates in schools goes to court. A lawyer for a group of parents suing the state worries the case is stalling.
And as Fox 13's Ben Winslow reports from Utah's Capitol Hill, the state wants the case thrown out entirely.
Concerned Coalition.
At a hearing held virtually because of COVID restrictions issued by the courts, the Utah Attorney General's office announced it is seeking to dismiss a lawsuit filed by a group of parents and the Concerned Coalition of Utah.
We intend to file a motion to dismiss.
The parents are suing over laws the legislature passed severely restricting the ability to impose mask mandates in schools. They argue Utah's laws infringe on their children's right to an education. They're asking for a restraining order blocking Utah's laws from being enforced, allowing schools to more easily implement a mask mandate.
If a motion to dismiss is going to be filed, then that will likely control when we set the hearing.
But the case now hinges on the state's motion to dismiss. The judge will have to decide whether to let the lawsuit go forward. Meanwhile, the Utah Attorney General's office also wants to know if circumstances have changed for the children at the center of this case.
Have they been vaccinated? Because now a vaccine is available to children 5 to 12 years old. If they haven't been vaccinated, why not? Have they been attending school in person in Salt Lake City school districts where the mask mandate has been issued?
I'm happy to provide anything else. I just hate to keep stalling this case off. That's my only concern.
Okay. I don't like the word stall. And I'll just indicate for the record, I've been waiting for you all
The case returns to court next month. In a statement to Fox 13, the Concerned Coalition of Utah says, while this case continues to play out, we remain confident in its merits and in our standing. The ongoing pandemic continues to place our children and communities at risk, and the COVID-19 virus may yet do more harm as it evolves. Vulnerable children in our communities remain poorly protected and unable to benefit fully from a free and fair public education. The plaintiffs in this case from across Salt Lake County have been directly and negatively impacted by the state's COVID-19 laws and by the related actions of elected officials. We continue to push for our children and yours. At the Matheson Courthouse, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Intermountain Healthcare has been given $4.6 million to find new ways to get patients off ventilators. They're commonly used for severely ill COVID-19 patients in the ICU. But doctors say ventilator treatments come with their own risks, including infection, lung and vocal cord damage, and pneumonia. Previously, Intermountain began new protocols to decide when patients got off and on the ventilators. This new grant will help them expand those protocols.
This study is going to identify how we can improve a process that is known to improve survival, shorten ICU stay, shorten risk for hospital-acquired pneumonia in patients who require a mechanical breathing machine.
Doctors say when done successfully, these protocol changes can reduce the number of days a patient remains on a ventilator and in the hospital overall.
West Valley City Police now looking for two men involved in a wild carjacking this afternoon. It started right in the Costco parking lot at about 12:30. Soon after the initial theft, the suspects crashed into another car and then a house on 3800 South. 3 people were hurt in the other car that was hit. One of them was taken to the hospital. The suspects ran away from the scene of the crash. Canine officers were not able to find them. Police do hope to identify them through surveillance video. However, if you can help, please call West Valley City Police. A Madsen Park just off of North Temple on Chicago Street in Salt Lake City has become a problem spot for crime. And that's why Salt Lake Mayor Aaron Mendenhall is having the park now closed to the public sometime later this week.
Fox 13's Spencer Joseph explains why city officials felt now was the time to close that park.
The city says this is the first time, at least in recent memory, that they've had to close down a public park because of safety concerns. Also saying that it's because of drugs, weapons, and public safety that they took this course of action. Here is video that I shot on a ride-along with Salt Lake City Police 2 months ago. 3 of the 5 drug dealer arrests we witnessed that day took place at Madsen Park. Now, the city says it will be fenced off on December 6th, adding that after trying several solutions, including adding lighting to the park, increasing patrols, near constant graffiti cleanup, as well as hosting resource fairs, they have still been unable to make a dent in the issues neighbors were seeing. Today, I spoke with Nigel Swaby, chair of the Fair Park Community Council, and one of those who's been working to make this happen.
Our group, North Temple Community Improvement, we got over 100 signatures, especially from people on Chicago Street there, asking for the closure. So this is not a decision that the mayor's office made lightly. It's something, there's a lot of community input on it.
What are you hearing from the people on the ground? What are they experiencing?
Some of them are afraid to come out of their homes. There are people who will go into their backyards, lots of thefts, lots of drugs, prostitution.
The mayor's office in a statement said in part, quote, "This is a temporary pilot initiative that has been driven by community members out of concern about crime and significant health, safety, and environmental issues in their small neighborhood park." The mayor's office also saying that this is just temporary and they will reassess after 60 days. Swaby telling me today as well that during that time period, they're hoping to make improvements to the park because it is in such disrepair right now, and hopes community members can use it once again. Along North Temple, Spencer Joseph, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Colorado City, Arizona is dropping a request to remove a policing consultant for the border town. It stems from a Justice Department lawsuit accusing the town of discriminating against those who do not belong to the fundamentalist LDS Church and acting as personal agents for Warren Jeffs, the leader of that church. Colorado City wanted a police department consultant removed, saying there was no longer a need and it was a waste of taxpayer dollars. A judge actually rejected that, and now Colorado City says it will no longer pursue it. The town's lawyers say after meeting with the consultant, they've come to an agreement on ways to keep costs down.
Well, do you have an opinion about some of Utah's state parks? Tomorrow's the deadline to comment on ways to try and make them better. The Utah State Parks Department is asking for feedback on improving recreational facilities at Deer Creek, Jordanelle, Red Fleet, Rockport, and Willard Bay. They're asking for feedback on the campgrounds, boat ramps, and other amenities. If you'd like to comment, go to fox13now.com.
Coming up, Ogden police are looking to adapt with the times when it comes to law enforcement. We'll show you the new way they're looking to keep in touch with residents.
Plus, a lot of changes are being proposed by Utah's Division of Wildlife Resources that could impact the plans of hunters. We'll explain what they want feedback on. New at 9, the Ogden Police Department now looking to change how police interact with the community when reporting a crime. Ogden PD is launching a new engagement texting service. It's called Spider Tech. It's happening this week. The platform gives people a means to follow up with investigators regarding their specific case. It's also a way to provide feedback to officers. Former police officers developed the technology primarily to help law enforcement agencies with customer service needs.
Spider Tech will send out another text and explain, hey, we apologize for the wait. This might be a longer wait time based on the call volume that we have right now, but then it will also give them information that if they don't want to wait, they could also file that report online.
Ogden police say other departments have used this technology successfully, and it will give them an idea of how they're doing.
The Division of Wildlife Resources is proposing several changes. One is the use of trail cameras and other hunting-related devices, such as night vision technology. We spoke in depth with DWR Big Game Coordinator Covey Jones on Fox 13 News Live at noon today. The DWR announced a survey found most hunters actually agree with banning of trail cameras, something he says the hunting community sees as socially unacceptable.
We're talking about the big game rule changes as to how we hunt and some of the issues with trail cameras and night vision. Those have been coming for over a year. And the legislature last year when they met, they actually asked the division to look into this and propose some regulation.
This new rule would not apply to private landowners who are watching their property or biologists using trail cameras to track wildlife.
Cleaning up graffitis and getting garbage.
Still ahead, we'll introduce you to that 8-year-old who's trying to rid the streets of graffiti in a way that is positively Utah.
Coming up in sports, we'll check in with Real Salt Lake as they get ready for their big match against Portland. And they needed overtime between BYU, 12th ranked BYU, and Utah Valley. The highlights are on the way.
Welcome back, everyone. So glad you could be with us on the first day of December. It's confusing.
Yeah,
the weather may be throwing you.
Yeah,
Doesn't feel like December.
Remain calm. It's still December.
Yes, it is. Just the beginning.
And in fact, Fox 13 meteorologist Allison Krogan will be along in just a few minutes to let us know when a huge snowstorm is going to come.
Maybe.
Eventually. She's smiling over there.
Eventually. We just don't know when.
Not now.
She'll fill you in coming up. Well, let us tell you about this now. An 8-year-old Utah boy is hoping his gesture of cleaning up the community will inspire more young people to do some good.
Fox 13's Eliana Sheriff explains why he's following in the footsteps of his hero, Batman, to become a hero in his own right, in his own neighborhood, in a way that is positively Utah.
This is just the beginning for Jake.
8-year-old Jake is on a mission.
Cleaning up graffitis and getting garbage because it's not good for the environment, really.
And he's drawing inspiration from his favorite superhero, Batman.
We started in, was it Herman? Harriman, and we went to South Jordan, and we want more kids to join so we can do it to the whole state.
Batman has one power, and that's to never give up. Jake is following in the footsteps of the Dark Knight, a superhero he's admired for a long time.
Maybe for my whole life, pretty much.
Becoming the defender of his environment.
Because it helps nature.
When Jake first saw this fence, it looked like this. He didn't hesitate to step into action, and he says this is just the beginning of giving back.
Feels like they're destroying pretty much property. Right. Because they are.
A couple hours of cleaning and rounds of graffiti remover later, this fence is no longer an eyesore.
When we were wiping the wall down, he said, "Why don't they just go to the arcade? Why don't they find something fun to do, huh?"
Now Jake is hoping he can inspire more kids to channel their own inner Batman.
I want them to help me out so we can clean the world together and help the environment.
A lot of kids want to come help next time, and a lot of his friends want to start helping.
Eliana Sheriff, Fox 13 News, Utah.
If you're looking for a way to give back, Fox 13 is teaming up with the Road Home and Volunteers of America Utah to help make the holidays brighter for Utahns who are experiencing homelessness.
Yeah, this is going to be a really neat experience, and we're asking for your help. Tomorrow, Thursday, you can bring new unwrapped gifts, toys, essentials, even gift cards to help stock the shelves at the Candy Cane Corner. All you have to do is drop them off at the Utah Symphony and Opera Rehearsal Hall. That's in Salt Lake City. The address there on your screen. Or you can come to the Maverick Center in West Valley City. A singer, composer, and entertainer, Alex Boyer, will be there tomorrow afternoon to share his compelling
We're excited to hear from him. We spoke with him today, and he's excited to be there. We're excited to have him there, and you're going to be really touched by his compelling story.
So, and you'll see a lot of familiar Fox 13 faces at the drop-off locations as well. If you'd like a complete list of the most needed items, go to fox13now.com/candycane. You can also donate financially online there as well.
Your forecast for tomorrow's donations coming up in just a second. But first, starting with our current conditions here in Salt Lake City, 38 degrees right now with light wind out of the southeast at 5 miles per hour. Tomorrow, air quality forecasted to be moderate. It's the same forecast as it was today with this inverted triangle. That means voluntary action for Weber, Davis, Salt Lake, Utah, Box Elder, and Tooele Counties, Uinta Basin, and southwestern Utah. Good air quality with unrestricted action. Current temperatures about 30 to 40 for many of you. 38 currently in Salt Lake, 38 for Ogden, 29 right now for Logan, and 34 degrees currently in Provo. Your top weather headlines will continue with some haze through the weekend. We have increasing confidence in next week's storm. That means cooler temperatures and a chance for some rain and snow. So Salt Lake City tomorrow, Candy Cane Corner Drive. More information on our website, fox13now.com/candycane. We'll have dry roads, so no excuses for tomorrow. We've got drive-through drop-offs, great 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. As Kelly mentioned, we're going to end up with great weather for that tomorrow. Temperatures in the mid-50s for highs here along the Wasatch Front. Clear sky this evening across northern and southern Utah. Overnight temps close to 30 to 35 degrees for many of you. Logan, upper 20s tomorrow morning. Ogden, mid-30s. Salt Lake, mid-30s. Provo, 31 degrees at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. And then by tomorrow afternoon, our temperatures are going to be close to 50 to 55 yet again. So we'll have another warm day tomorrow. Haze will continue, and then we're going to have some pretty big changes next week. Because I know that Bob was just wishing for a big snowstorm earlier when he was saying that. But we actually have some changes coming, Bob. I think that a lot of people...
You mean we're going to get snow here eventually?
We have eventually here in Salt Lake, mark my word, eventually we're going to. But here's what you need to know for next week's storm. Monday into Tuesday, we start with some valley rain, mountain snowfall. We likely will see those snow levels around 7,000 feet. Now, keep in mind, we're still several days away, so this will continue to come together. But what you need to know right now through Tuesday morning is we've got the possibility to mix some snow in, even down to the valley floors. And then by later next week, we have some additional chances for rain and snow. And I think with some cooler temperatures, we have some better chances for that snow to make it down to the valley floor. St. George upper 60s through Friday, mid 60s this weekend, close to 60 next week. For the Wasatch Front, your 10-day forecast. Look how much cooler you are by Tuesday. 40 for a high. We'll keep it in the 40s through all of next week, and potentially by next weekend, we're going to have temperatures just in the 30s for a high here in Salt Lake City. So some big changes are coming, more chances for rain and snow. It's looking more promising, but we are dry through this weekend and into early next week.
The 16th ranked BYU basketball team made their longest or shortest road trip of the season tonight, traveling to Orem to play Utah Valley. And this game turned into a great one. Both teams struggled early on, but they picked it up. Justin Harmon knocks down the three. He had a great game. 24 points for Utah Valley. Other end, it's Alex Barcelo. Drives, scores, tough bucket. Put BYU at 5. He had 17 points and 11 rebounds. Tight down the stretch, Fardas Amick scores. Put UVU up 1 with 44 seconds to play. He had 24 points, 22 rebounds. Then the Wolverines get it back, and it's Tim Fuller the breakaway jam. Wolverines were up by 3. But the Cougars rallied late. Spencer Johnson scored it to tie it up at 55 with 1.6 seconds to play. That forced overtime. But in OT, it's Amick for 3. Utah Valley with the shocker. They beat 12th ranked BYU 72-65. It's their 4th overtime win. And the fans rushed the court to celebrate the Wolverines' victory. Well, it's been an incredible stretch for Real Salt Lake. In a win in their final seconds of regulation in the finale just to get into the playoffs, then 2 upsets on the road to reach the Western Conference semifinals to face Portland this Saturday.
This has been amazing to see the group. It's been fun. The locker room's been incredible all year. So this story is, one that hopefully we continue and lift some hardware, but it's been amazing to be part of.
We're 90 minutes away from playing in a cup final that no one believed that we can do. So really, we can't look too far ahead. Just look at the Portland game, one game at a time. I mean, I believe we can win it.
It's crazy, and I think that's the beauty of sport, is that it's really about momentum. If we do the right things, we're organized, we're structured, we know we have guys that are going to come in the game and make a difference. We believe we can win, and that's what we've been doing, and we'll keep doing it.
The Utah football team will take on Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game on Friday in Las Vegas. Getting this game and winning Utah's first ever Pac-12 championship played a big role in why some players decided to put the NFL on hold and return to Utah.
Going to the Pac-12 championship twice and coming up short both years, just horrible bad taste in your mouth, and coming this year was the main focus, is go to the Pac-12 championship, and we're there right now.
I had high aspirations whenever I did decide to come back, and I had a lot of faith and belief in this team, understanding that we could get to this point, and that played a lot into my decision to come back. And just to see it all, come to fruition is a blessing.
We'll be right back.
The Utah German Christmas market, called Christkindlmarkt, is back. It's happening at This Is the Place Heritage Park in Salt Lake City. This year, the market is partnering with several groups to collect gift cards and donations to give to refugee and foster families this holiday season. Christkindlmarkt, open through Saturday.
It's very fun. Yep. Thanks for watching. Quick Cast is next.